Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, following Oleksandr Usyk's win over Daniel Dubois last weekend, in which he won by a 9th round stoppage, it seems as if we are no closer to a potential Tyson Fury unification undisputed fight, which ultimately is the fight most boxing fans want. We want an undisputed heavyweight champion. We've not had one in God knows how long. And yeah, we are one fight away, but ultimately it still feels like this fight is a million miles away. And, you know, to me it really highlights the lack of common sense in boxing. You know, such a fight is always going to be good for the sports. A fight that's going to generate a lot of interest, and a fight that gives boxing a bit of credibility. But yeah, it seems like, again, we are no closer to that fight. Because ultimately, it looks like the IBF are going to order Oleksandr Usyk versus Filip Hrgovic. Filip Hrgovic, of course, being the mandatory within the IBF. And according to Hrgovic's co-promoter, Eddie Hearn, again, the IBF are going to order this fight almost immediately. And it may even have to take place by December of this year. The fight itself, I mean, listen, I've gone off Hrgovic in recent fights. His performances haven't impressed me all that much. I think he has been regressing as a fighter. But overall, he's a big lump, he's awkward, he hits hard. It's a relatively intriguing fight. I don't completely hate the fight, but to me it shouldn't be the priority. To me, the sanctioning bodies, like I said, should use common sense and actually come together to try and force this fight through, the undisputed fight with Tyson Fury. You know, just use a little common sense, maybe promise Hrgovic for winner, that sort of thing. Whatever it may be, come to some sort of resolution to allow the fight to happen. But because Tyson Fury is fighting Francis Ngannou back end of October, he's technically got a fight scheduled in the future, so it seems like the IBF are not going to allow Usyk to wait that long to get into negotiations with Tyson Fury. And it goes to show, you know, once again, the can is being kicked down the road in regards to a potential undisputed fight. And ultimately, the can is being kicked down the road because one of the champions, Tyson Fury, is essentially having an exhibition fight. Let's be real about it, against a guy who's never boxed before. Never even had an amateur fight, I don't think. That's why the heavyweight division right now is being held up in regards to the undisputed fight. It's a shame, it really is. And I always find it fascinating. Have you noticed, when a certain fighter has multiple titles, like Oleksandr Usyk, or like Artur Beterbiev, for example, have you noticed how these guys and their mandatories get called almost immediately after the other? Look at the situation at light heavyweight. Beterbiev, it feels like he's been stuck with Mandos forever. Adam Dinez was a Mando, Marcus Brown was a Mando, Callum Smith coming up is a Mando, Anthony Yard was a Mando. Every fight that dude has is a Mando. Whereas other fighters who hold titles, These guys get to hold on to multiple titles without really feeling pressure of fighting mandatories. Jamal Charlo, WBC champion, has not fought in 2 years. Where's his mandatory call? Where's his mandatory fight? Errol Spence Jr. held 3 titles for a long time with incredible periods of inactivity. I don't think he fought an IBF Mando since Carlos Ocampo until he lost his title to Terence Crawford. So yeah, I always find it interesting how selective the sanctioning bodies are when it comes to enforcing mandatories. When it comes to chosen fighters or industry fighters, guys who the industry wants to push, these Mandos are a lot less strict, they're a lot less stringent. But when it's a guy like Beterbiev, Oleksandr Usyk, these Mandos seem to get called a lot quicker. Just from what I've seen, it feels like the sanctioning bodies are in cahoots with certain fighters, certain promotions, to help said fighters manage their careers, whereas others, they're not so inclined to give those guys a break. Devin Haney's a perfect example. Maurizio Sulaiman came out on record and basically said they've been sponsoring Devin Haney since when he was an amateur. What does that mean, by the way? And all of a sudden, we're hearing Devin Haney can't make weight at 135, yet he's still the champion in recess? What's all that about? It's just weird to me. It's exceptionally weird. And yeah, they allow mandatory fights to get in the way when it's convenient, but on other occasions they don't. And yeah, to me it seems like the sanctioning bodies are willing to delay undisputed fights involving Beterbiev and Oleksandr Usyk right now. You look at the Beterbiev situation, and I think that's disgusting. WBC won't sanction it because of the two combatants being from Russia. You know, Bivol apparently represents Russia, despite Beterbiev being Russian, but they view him as a Canadian. It's silly. It's so ridiculous. It's incredible. But yeah, from what the reports are saying right now, from the talking heads in boxing, it seems like we're going to get Oleksandr Usyk versus Filip Hrgovic next. Again, the fight in itself I don't hate per se, but it's not really a fight I'm super invigorated for, and it's not a fight that is a good second prize to Undisputed. It's certainly not going to get blood pumping among boxing fans. Certainly boxing fans in the UK, USA, etc. Where's that fight even going to be held? I'd assume it would be back in Poland, right? Because they can't fight in Ukraine. I doubt they'll fight in Croatia. It doesn't really make sense to put it on in the USA. Maybe it could do okay in the UK from a live gate perspective, but yeah, man, it is what it is, man. I've come to expect this from sanctioning bodies. I really have. But yeah, ultimately, we're not going to get Undisputed this year. You know, every year, it's always next year, next year, next year. Is it ever going to come? I doubt it, personally. I'm starting to doubt it. I'm starting to doubt it happens. Hopefully I'm wrong. But, you know, I've certainly ruled out Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev ever happening. That's not happening. Fury versus Usyk, it's looking more unlikely. You know, it's looking more unlikely. Hopefully I'm wrong though. Listen, I'd love to see both fights, but right now, doesn't seem like it's the case. Anyway, share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Peace.